Welcome to the Health Deli, your local stop for a fresh take on community health topics. Come on in, grab a number, and let the guys behind the counter, Mark, Ben, and Mike, tell you about today's specials.
Welcome back to the Health Deli. Today we took the food truck on the road and we're at the winery at Young's Farms in beautiful Mecosta County. And we're here with the owner / doctor, meat guy, Mark Young. Mark, this is an amazing place here.
Thank you. So I'm not going to talk a lot about it, but we're a very small grape vineyard, blueberry farm, winery, and then we do hard ciders too. So it's like a party every night in my front yard.
And people pay to show up to your party.
It's great. Yeah.
Nice.
I always say you got to make money off your friends because it's hard to make it off your enemies.
Is that why you took money from me when I walked in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got to charge a cover charge when we're doing the podcast.
Gotcha. All right. So today I wake up, and the first thing that happens, my kids just start bombarding me with questions.
Sure.
And it's just incredible. You got kids, right?
I do. Two.
You want a couple? I got 5.
Really? 5?
Yeah, 5.
Wow.
So, in kids, I mean, God bless them. They're always asking questions, and it's so cool because they're so eager to learn, and they're always so inquisitive.
Very true.
I think as adults, you get beat out of you. It's like stupid sad questions. You have to know everything so you don't look like you're ignorant.
Right. You do have that fear of appearing like you're not very intelligent if you ask questions.
Yeah.
I don't have that fear because everyone knows I'm not intelligent.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I've had, I've taught Sunday school, coached kids sports and everything. So I've had some really random questions because one of the other beautiful things is kids don't have filters.
No.
They'll just ask you whatever's on their mind.
Yes.
So what's some of the craziest things kids ask you?
Oh, actually, one of the craziest things, my son was, we were at a mini golf place and we were standing in line and there was a gentleman ahead of us that was probably 6'5" tall, African-American gentleman, with an afro. And he looked at me, he looked at him, he looked back at me and he says, does that guy look like Bob Ross to you? And that guy turned around laughing and said, I've never got that one before. So that's probably the craziest question I've had recently anyway.
All right. Well, I can't top that.
No.
I really can't. But I did find a study. There was a study done by Dr. Sam Wass, in the UK, where he polled about 1,500 parents and asking them about questions their kids were asking. And what they found is that on average, kids ask about 73 questions per day.
Really?
Now, to be honest with you, my youngest, she flies past that in about the first 2 hours she's awake.
Yeah, my daughter, that's before breakfast.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense for me because, he also found that kids younger than 4 are more likely to ask questions. And here's something for you. They also found that kids are more likely to ask questions of their dads rather than your mom. I like to think it's because kids think we're smarter than the moms. That's
Mike Klepser at ferris.edu. So send your feedback to Michael Klepser at ferris.edu.
We'll edit that out. So in this study, there were, they top 10. Everybody loves a top 10. They're asking, what were the most common questions? Mm-hmm. And the most common questions, number 10, why can't I stay up as late as you? Mm-hmm. Number 9, why is the sky blue? Mm-hmm. 8, when you die, who will I live with?
Ooh, morbid.
Yeah, that's pretty morbid, yeah. Mm-hmm. 7, why do I have to go to school?
Mm-hmm. Still asking that.
Yeah. Number 6, is Santa real? I would have thought that would have been higher.
Who's Santa?
Yeah, your poor kids. Number 5, what does we can't afford it really mean?
Man, that's a sad one. Kind of sad.
Number 4, how was I made? Number 3, what is God?
Interesting. It's not who is God.
Yeah. The British.
Yeah, true.
Number
they don't know
2,
how to speak English.
Where did I come from? And the top question that kids in Great Britain ask is, why do people die?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a heavy one.
Yeah, I mean, so got some heavy questions in there from the Brits. Mm-hmm. But how about you? What are the top 10 questions you like to ask?
So I can only come up with 5. Not very intelligent, right? But I think my top 5 questions, number 1, and it ties in with the Health Deli, why do people make unhealthy decisions? So much of what happens to us really boils down to our decision making. Mm-hmm. So that was probably my number 1. Number 2, why can't we all just get along? There's so much,
Because I don't like you.
turmoil. Well, not just us,
Oh, okay. I
but
thought you said we, and I
well,
thought you were talking to
like
me.
the global sense.
Gotcha.
Another one, how does a propane refrigerator work? In that, like it makes heat, but it makes things cold. I don't understand. Like burning propane makes things cold. Weird.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 4, as I get older, why can't I grow hair on my head, but I grow it on my back? That doesn't make any sense, does it? You know?
No, just getting away from you, huh?
Yeah. Um, and then the other one, why doesn't a tow truck haul tows? If you're going to call it a tow truck, why doesn't it call tows?
My number one question is, why do I hang out with you and do this?
I don't know.
So, again, I love it, when kids ask questions and they're never happy with the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll say, why is the sky blue? And you tell them, they go, but why? And then you tell them again, they go, but why? And I thought that was so brilliant that I use that approach with my students as well. They'll ask me a question and I'll go, well, you tell me. And then they'll tell me, and then I'll go, why? And then you realize they're familiar with something, but they're not knowledgeable. And if you keep asking why, you'll discover where that, line is between familiarity and knowledge, and then teaching begins.
Sure.
Look at me getting kind of like pedagogical.
Yeah. That actually sounded very, very logical.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've been talking a lot about questions, and this was kind of the genesis then for this episode is, all these questions that kids ask about their health. We thought, man, this would be a great recurring topic, is just to try to address some of those. And let's just jump into it. We got a load of questions. To be honest with you, I'm a little scared about this, what some of the questions are.
Yeah, I'm more than scared. Yeah, but whatever, we'll just see.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and have our first questions.
My name is Logan. Why do mosquitoes bite us?
All right, so why are mosquitoes attracted to me? That's a great question. I mean, we're outside, and fortunately right now I'm not getting bit.
True.
But before I get into this, I'm a teacher, so I always got to teach more than just give a straight answer.
Sure.
So first, there's mosquito facts. Do you know that according to National Geographic, there's over 3,000 species of mosquitoes? And of those 3,000, only 3 species actually carry the majority of diseases like malaria and stuff like that.
Really? You might get into this. I didn't read the script. So, but is it true that the species kind of have like a cycle too? So this year's species that is, common here in mid-Michigan might not be the same species that's common next year. Like there's some drift in that.
I think that a lot of that would have to do with kind of like the warmth and the wetness, that
Yeah.
there's certain mosquitoes that grow better in certain times. So but no, I'm not going to get into that. So
Okay,
thanks for
well,
asking questions that I wasn't prepared for.
No, that's fine.
Again, why do I do this? So anyway, the 3 mosquito species that commonly carry diseases, Anopheles, sounds like a Greek god. Anopheles carries malaria and spreads encephalitis. There's the Culex, which carries encephalitis and West Nile virus. That's something that we see here in the state of Michigan. And then the Andes mosquitoes carry things like yellow fever, dengue fever, and encephalitis. And, when we're looking at how mosquitoes spread viruses, I think everybody just thinks, well, they just bite and they just spread the disease.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that different mosquitoes and different parasites are spread differently. So for malaria, parasites attach themselves to the gut of a mosquito, and then when the mosquito feeds, it transmits those parasites to the host.
Okay.
Whereas for like yellow fever and dengue, as a mosquito's, let's say you're infected with yellow fever, and the mosquito bites you, it then becomes infected from you and carries that in its saliva. And then if it goes ahead and bites me, then
Sure.
it transmits the disease.
So a vector, right?
Yeah. Yep. So these are vectors. And, in general, it's a pretty straightforward process.
Sure.
And mosquitoes, really, they have a relatively short life cycle, about 6 to 8 weeks. And in this time, they go from eggs to larvae to pupa to adults. As we talk about mosquitoes and their lifespan, it's kind of like humans. Female mosquitoes live longer than males, which again, no matter what species, we're at a disadvantage.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's get down to, the biting. Why does this subject bite?
To eat, right?
No,
Oh,
it's because of the eggs.
really?
The female mosquito needs blood to mature the eggs. And so only the female mosquitoes actually suck blood.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's true. And they've got this tube-like attachment. It's called the proboscis. And for the females, it's more rigid than the males, so it can penetrate skin. And then when it sucks in the blood, it helps the eggs develop. And females, over their lifespan, they produce 2 to 4 egg batches, and each time they have to have a blood meal to go along with that. The males have a proboscis, and like I mentioned, it's just not strong enough to puncture the skin, so it's just used for collecting nectar and stuff like that.
I'll be darned.
So yeah, things. Thank you, children. For asking those questions. But then it's like, why are they attracted to people? Why do you think mosquitoes are attracted?
I always thought it was because I was sweet. That's what I tell people.
Is that no?
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. I just thought it was because they wanted to eat my blood like a vampire.
Okay, so you thought mosquitoes were vampires.
Well, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, most people, get this idea that mosquitoes are attracted to them because of things like CO2, your breath and stuff like that. And that's partially true. But there's so many other things that go into this. And mosquitoes have these little sensors called palps, which are, between their antennae. And they can detect a variety of things. And mosquitoes, they do detect CO2. And, the more CO2 you produce, the more likely that they're going to be attracted to you. And of interest, overweight people and pregnant women emit more CO2 than kids. So it's more likely that they're going to get bit than kids.
Really?
And a mosquito can detect that CO2 from over 160 feet away.
Wow.
Yeah, this little bugger. I mean, for you, that's like detecting something down,
Right.
4 cities away or something.
That's amazing.
That's me with a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. I can detect that thing like,
Yeah.
2 suburbs over or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, but it's not only CO2. There's studies out there that look at blood type. Do you know, so your blood type can make you more attractive to a mosquito.
Really?
And it's been shown that people with type O blood are nearly bitten twice as often as those with type A.
That just makes no sense. I mean, how could they?
No scent.
No. Oh, wow. Wow. It's unbelievable they could even differentiate between.
Well, here's the
blood
thing.
types.
Not only, does that play a role, but some people secrete this substance or chemical in their skin that indicates your blood type. About 85% of people secrete this substance that the mosquitoes can sense and detect your blood type.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it's really our fault.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they can't help themselves, poor guys. Another thing that the mosquitoes are attracted to are your smell, which honestly repulses me.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
But they seem to like some of this stuff, and they can smell things like lactic acid, uric acid, ammonia, and other substances.
Yeah, I have no problem detecting your scent from 160 feet away.
Yeah.
So that seems completely logical that a mosquito could.
You could be a mosquito. And your body temperature also plays a role in that. So the warmer the temperature, the more likely that they're going to find you. So strenuous exercise builds up lactic acid, builds up your heat, makes you more attractive, to a mosquito.
Okay. Good reason not to exercise, I think.
Yeah, pretty solid reason. Just adding that to my bank of why not.
Yeah.
Then there's bacteria. Your skin is covered with bacteria. Some areas on your body have less bacteria than others.
Sure.
And they say like things like your ankle have less diversity of bacteria. So maybe that's why they bite your ankles. I always thought it's because your ankles were closer to the grass and the ground. It was just easier for them to get up there.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have thought the same thing.
Yeah. This is probably one of my favorite things. Beer. No, beer is really one of my favorite things.
Yeah. I like beer.
But there was a study out there that showed that even having one beer can increase your attraction for a mosquito.
Really?
So you drink one beer and the mosquitoes are coming after you. And the reason's not clear, with that. But my theory is mosquitoes are alcoholics.
It's sound.
Yeah.
We could do some studies actually.
Yeah.
We'll get you a case of beer and a tent. We'll put you in there, and we'll put a whole bunch of mosquitoes in there. And then as you drink, we'll see how
so
they're
not
attracted.
liking where this is going.
I think it's fine. I think it'd be fun.
Another thing that plays a role is color of clothing. Mosquitoes are more attracted to dark color clothing. And then there's genetics. There's something that some people inherently are genetically predisposed to attract mosquitoes. So there was a study in 2015 that looked at twins. and they found that your DNA may account for nearly 67% of mosquito attraction.
Really? That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I
So
just don't understand. These mosquitoes have no idea how perceptive they really are.
yeah,
They can distinguish DNA, blood type, bacterial, what would you call that? Like your normal bacterial biome on your skin. Amazing.
yeah. I mean, so it's pretty impressive. So, that one little question, I mean, just exploded a whole bunch of things I had no clue.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Um, so you're saying if I don't exercise, I wear light colored clothes, I don't drink beer, and I know my blood type, then I should never get bit by a mosquito.
I'm not going to say never,
Okay.
but according to the data that I found, you may reduce your risk if you continue your slothy lifestyle.
Well, um, that was actually very informative. Very seldom do I give you actual praise, but I'm going to because that actually was very informative. I did not know that much about mosquitoes, but I'm going to make some changes to make that better. My grandpa, this is way back in the day, would always light his pipe. And then I would ask him, like, why do you light that pipe if we were outside? And he said, to keep the mosquitoes away. But he would light it in the dead of winter as well. So I'm not really sure if it had any effect on keeping any mosquitoes
That's
away.
just justifying some of your vices.
Yeah, I think so. I never noticed any actual difference. So, all right. Well, I think we satisfied that question. Let's take another question.
All right.
My name is Audrey. Can I eat dirt?
This is a great question for me. I think I'm going to take this one. So, will eating dirt make me sick? So, believe it or not, there was a time where I may have munched on a little dirt when I was a kid. I think we all did
week.
it. Yeah.
I mean, you're a farmer, isn't that what you do?
Yeah. So,
Is there enough fertilizer in this soil?
you know what? So, talking about soil, we talk about sweet and bitter soil, and it goes all the way back to when people would taste soil, and they were getting an idea of the pH of the soil, whether it was sweet or sour. But we've advanced beyond that in farming. Now we use lab tests. But the short answer: will eating dirt make me sick? Maybe, probably. So what I'm going to say is a lot of kids, have eaten dirt and not gotten sick, right? But it is not a good idea. Actually, so before we get into why it's not a good idea, dirt eating actually has a diagnosis associated with it called geophagia, which is a subtype of pica, which means they have a craving for something other than food. So pica is the bigger term. Geophagia is the want or desire to eat dirt.
Geo being earth, phasia, isn't it like swallow or something?
Yep.
Dirt swallower, earth
So,
swallower.
there was a TV show a few years back about strange eating habits or something like that, and people would eat laundry detergent and starch and other kind of things. So,
Just for the record, we do not promote
no,
any of this.
Not at all. So, I mean, these are disorders, but the thing about it is, if you have this desire to eat dirt, it could actually mean that your body is deficient of certain nutrients. Which it kind of makes sense, right? So pregnant women, they're really getting picked on today because they're more likely to get bit by mosquitoes first. They're also more likely to experience this desire to eat dirt.
I'm gonna go find your wife and ask.
I actually asked her about this and she said no. But also patients with iron deficiency anemia have this desire to eat dirt and most often red clay. And red clay does have small amounts of iron. Now, there are a lot safer ways to get iron, but it made me think, and I looked, I actually did a quick literature search to see if there was anything that was really looked at scientifically to back this up. There really wasn't, but this is my theory, is it could be an evolutionary kind of trait in that pregnant females maybe deficient in iron, or those that are experiencing anemia, in the case of a famine or something like that, if they did eat that red clay, they could get a little bit of iron, which would allow them to live a little bit longer and breed and pass that trait on. Nothing to back that up, but it kind of makes sense a little bit, right? That they're craving this iron, their body needs it, and that.
But who
helps
gets
them.
so hungry and iron deficient and goes, hey, you know what would be a good idea? Let's try the dirt.
Yeah.
We got a lot of it, so let's just.
I read a couple of case reports though, and it was people that just had this strong desire to eat red clay when they saw it. They were otherwise healthy people, but they actually went to their physician and said, I have this strong desire to eat red clay. And then the physician did a normal lab panel and they were iron deficient anemia. So very strange.
Interesting.
Now, I'm not saying that most kids are anemic. This is, of course, the small minority. But before we even answer that question again, we need to really define the term dirt. So when we say dirt, really, it's everything under our feet is what we call dirt. But really, dirt is either sand, silt, or clay, and soil is dirt plus all the other stuff. So all of the nutrients, all of the decaying matter, all of that other stuff help to make up soil. So when we talk dirt, we're probably really talking about soil. So if you go to the beach, nothing grows there, right? Because there's not a lot of nutrients and those kinds of things. There are nutrients, but not a lot. There's not a lot of decaying organic matter to support life. That would probably be your safest bet if you were going to eat some dirt, to go kind of to that. Now, not advocating that. Don't eat dirt, people. But if you think about soil, soil has all sorts of bad stuff in it. So you as a infectious diseases guy, you understand that there's bacteria, there's fungi, there's all sorts of nasty stuff, decaying plants. There's actually a product on the market. I think it's called Dairy Dew. We're not sponsored by Dairy Dew or anything, but that's actually made from cow poop, and then they put that in soil. So if you're thinking, you want to eat soil and it's got cow poop in it, not good. So,
Yeah, I've smelled cows.
right,
No thanks.
right. So if you accidentally eat a little dirt, we have an immune system. We're going to take care of that. It's not going to cause instant harm. But if it has like a parasite in it, something like that, that parasite could start to live inside you. So we call that worms. A lot of times dogs get it. Humans can get that too. So that's not something that you want to have happen if you eat a little bit of dirt. So bottom line, if someone dares you to eat dirt, don't do it. It won't taste good, might make you sick. And if you really have a desire to eat dirt, not on a dare, if you really have this thought like, I want to eat this dirt, really should talk to your parents and talk to your physician to see if maybe you're one of those very small percentage of people that might be having some kind of disorder that makes you want to eat that dirt.
Wow, that would be. Yeah, I never thought of that. I would just always thought dirty, grimy kids just
Right.
eating dirt because that's what kids do when they get bored.
That's what I was when I was eating dirt, pretty much. So, yeah.
Wow, interesting. All right, wow, that was right up your alley. The farmer, the dirt, and all that kind of stuff. So
Right,
you
right.
took that to a whole new level.
Yes.
So, all right, well, let's move on to our next question then.
My name's Bryn. What is earwax?
Wow, that's a good question. Earwax. Everybody's got it. Why is it there? I mean, I guess that's a great question. I never really thought of it as anything except a nuisance before. So again, before I answer a question, I got to figure out, a little bit more about where is earwax from? What is it all about? And it's actually produced from these hair cells in your ears called follicles. And there's the substance that's secreted from these follicles called serum. Not serum, but cerium.
With a C.
C.
Okay. I see.
And this substance lines your ear canals and helps collect dust and dirt and other things to kind of protect your ears. And it's not actually wax. It's just this oily substance. And then as other things get collected in this, it turns a little bit more solid. And the appropriate recipe, I guess, if you will, for earwax is a good dose of sebum, some skin cells, sweat, and dirt. And probably about 60% of those are going to be the skin cells that line your ears.
Really?
That goes into there. And, this wax, as it's produced, it kind of migrates from your inner ear out of your ear, because these hair follicles help move it out. But also as you talk and chew, that helps push, the wax out as well. which I thought was fascinating. Your ear has a little conveyor belt, to move earwax out.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I didn't realize is that there's actually two types of earwax that are fairly well described. There's a wet type and a dry type. And the wet type is more common in East Asians, Southeast Asians, Native Americans. And this is kind of a gray and flaky type of earwax. Whereas the dry type is more common in African and European people. And this is kind of a honey brown, dark orange or brown and kind of moist. And, really kind of cool thing that I didn't realize is anthropologists use earwax to track migratory patterns of people throughout the ages. That they can, find, I don't know if it's fossilized earwax or whatever, or used Q-tips, but they can kind of like track where this earwax goes through the continents to find out how people migrate.
Amazing.
And there's a specific gene that is, encodes for this earwax type. And, interestingly, this wet type earwax is also associated with armpit odor and increased sweat production.
Really?
Yeah, I can see that's, you're solid on that one. So that's kind of what the earwax is, but what does it do? I already mentioned that it helps protect the ear by trapping and preventing dust and bacteria and stuff like that from getting in. And, the lining of your ear is actually pretty delicate. And so this helps the skin from getting dry and irritated. And there might also be some antimicrobial activities, of the earwax as well to kind of keep down some of the, antibiotic or the bacterial growth.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it is and what it does. But I want to just, throw in a couple extra things here about some random earwax facts. All right.
Earwax facts.
Earwax facts.
Here it comes, people. Earwax facts.
So in medieval times, earwax and other things, including urine, were used to create pigments or colors to illustrate manuscripts. So can you imagine having a children's book that was colored by earwax and urine?
No.
Yeah, we've come so far. Also, there was a early medical text written by Pliny the Elder, not the beer, but the early natural medicine guy, and he wrote that earwax, when applied topically, helps cure bites from humans, scorpions, and other types of pests.
Really?
So okay.
Yeah. The thing I got from that, I'm really on Pliny's name, Pliny the Elder.
Yeah, haven't you ever drank a Pliny the Elder?
No, I
It's
haven't.
a beer.
Really?
Yeah, I always wondered where that came from.
I'm gonna start going by Mark the Elder.
I just call you Pliny Mark.
Well, that's fine too.
One other random facts is, it's thought that some of the first lip balm may have actually been earwax.
Earwax.
Earwax. And in 1932, there was an edition of the American Frugal Housewife that said nothing was better than earwax to prevent the painful effects resulting from a wound by a nail or skewer, and was also recommended for cracked lips.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
You go kiss your wife and her nice soft lips now, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that brings DIY to a whole new level right there. If you're using earwax for lip balm.
Well, and it was also used to support crafts as well. So there was reports, in early times before there was waxed thread, that seamstresses would use their earwax to help keep threads from fraying. So
Really?
they would get it out and use it, and hey, you know what? It's earwax. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Huh. I never understood all the uses for earwax. But apparently we need it, right? So
Yeah, they need lots of it.
I'm going to start collecting mine.
You should sell it
Yeah,
here
we
at
should.
the winery.
Maybe I will. It's kind of like, local honey.
Oh.
People like to buy local honey for allergies and things like that. Maybe they could buy my local earwax.
Harvest your kids' earwax.
Yes. Yes. You got 5 kids. You could really get into it.
Oh, I got a surplus.
Yeah. I'm going to have to build a machine for earwax harvesting. All right. So I think we got time for another question. Do we have time for another question?
We got time for another question.
All right. All right. Shoot.
Hello, my name is Carter, and I'm wondering how sunburns occur.
Great question. So I'm going to take this one for sure because I have asked myself this question a lot. Why do I get sunburned? So I know you guys can't see me, but I have the.
But they can.
Oh,
We've
do
now
have the
taken
video.
this to a new level.
We do have the video. So I am a very fair-skinned person. I call myself a thoroughbred redhead because both my parents had red hair, so I really have no protection from the sun. So
You
I
think
get
about the sun and
sunburned
you get burned.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So um, the the problem with a sunburn, right, is that it hurts. Okay, but the long term problem with a sunburn is that it increases your risk of skin cancer, right? So the sunburn, it's painful in the short term, but the long term risk is what we're more worried about. So why do some people get sunburned more often than others? Why do I get sunburned just walking to my truck in the parking lot while other people can lay out all day? It really boils down to this thing called melanin. So our skin, everyone's skin has some, unless you're an albino, which you would have essentially none. But there are two types of melanin. I didn't realize this until I started looking more into, as I got more interested in skin health. I got more interested in skin health because I'm the only member of my immediate family that hasn't had skin cancer. So I'm hypersensitive to sunburns. But there is two types of melanin. There's eumelanin and pheomelanin.
I thought you were going to say there was you and me melanin.
There's eumelanin and me melanin. No, pheomelanin. Eumelanin.
Theo or Theo? Phe.
PH.
Okay.
Yeah, like pharmacy. Pheomelanin.
Okay.
Eumelanin is dark brown or black in color. Pheomelanin is red or yellowish. So, of course, as you may expect, how much melanin we have and what type of melanin we have determines our skin color. So those people whose ancestors grew up in Africa have dark skin. Those people like me who have Scottish heritage have very, very light skin.
Why don't you wear a kilt?
I do wear a kilt every once in a while.
I don't want to be there when you do.
I don't actually. I don't own a kilt, but I would like to get one. Maybe for future episodes I'll wear a kilt. But the idea is that, it's an evolutionary trait in that in areas where they have more sunlight, they need more melanin to protect their skin cells. Melanin acts like a little bit, you can think of it like a sunlight sponge. So the more melanin you have, it soaks up that UV radiation. So in the sunlight, we have UVA, UVB, other UV rays as well. UVB is really what causes a sunburn. So if we don't have enough melanin, or if we have enough melanin but we're in the sun too long, all that UVB light kind of overcomes the effect of the melanin, and then it starts to damage our skin cells. So as it damages those skin cells, blood rushes to the site to fix that, right? So we have our immune system kicks into overdrive, pushes blood flow to those sites, and that's why it turns red. So a sunburn turns red because of that extra blood flow coming to the burn to fix it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just because like your skin was truly burning.
No, actually, most of the red color is from that blood flow.
Interesting.
Coming there. Yeah. My question when I was thinking about this is if you had someone with an immune blocker, if someone was on a high dose of steroids where you could take out that that inflammatory response, would it really help, prevent a sunburn? I don't know. I don't know if it would or not. But
I'm going to go on a limb and say probably not.
You'd still have the burn,
right?
But you might not have the redness associated with it. So you'd still have the cell damage.
And you'd still hurt like a bugger, but you'd get none of the benefits of, getting a tan.
So, like I said earlier, the sunburns hurt, right? But it's this long-term risk of skin cancer that's the major problem. The Skin Cancer Foundation has a lot of good resources on their website. But they had a very interesting statistic in that if you have a sunburn just once every 2 years, okay, one sunburn basically every other year triples your risk of developing melanoma.
Wow.
So if you think about back in your lifetime, how many sunburns you've had.
Once a week as a kid?
Yeah. All of a sudden, those start to add up and really increases your risk of melanoma. So the best way to prevent a sunburn, I'm sure everyone knows this, is to cover your skin with clothing.
I just don't go outside.
Well, that would also help.
Stay in my basement.
That would help.
The neighbors love that too.
Yeah, you are kind of that guy.
Yeah.
Just comes out at night.
Yeah. I'm like the vampire mosquito.
Yeah. If you're going to be outside, wear a hat. Limit your time in the sun, especially from 11 to 3 when those sun rays are the highest.
Oh, that's nap time for me.
Me too. Me too. Wearing sunblock's effective. Make sure it's at least SPF 30. I actually get the SPF 100. So like nothing is getting through that.
So it's like covering your body in a paper bag.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. I don't get any negative feedback from that though, actually, amazingly. I would think people would like to see my skin, but apparently not.
Less mark, more better.
Yep. And you got to reapply often. So in my life, I have sunblock within arm's reach at all times. I have it in every car. I have it in my bicycle thing. Most people bring water. I bring sunblock. I'm always using sunblock.
You don't ever like accidentally drink it.
Well, no, but I would if I thought it would prevent sunburn. Not really. Kids don't drink any sunblock. And then, of course, as if you're exposed to more sun, your body will produce more melanin, and that's called a tan, right? So kind of like everything, a little bit in moderation is actually a good thing. So if you can develop that tan, that'll build up your body's stores of melanin and protect you from a sunburn. That's why at the end of the summer, you're kind of less likely to get sunburn than at the beginning because your body has built that up. The worst sunburn I ever got actually was when I was ice fishing, believe it or not. So the sun's rays at that time of year, because it's winter, aren't as intense, but because of the reflection and because of the cold weather, I didn't feel my face getting sunburned. And I had just a terrible sunburn, blistered all up. It was awful. Probably like quadrupled my risk of skin cancer. Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of anybody getting that bad of a sunburn.
Yeah.
I always thought maybe windburn or something like that, but maybe part of that's the sunburn.
Yeah. It was one of those bright sunshiny days and there was no snow. So the ice was like a mirror. And that's what I attributed it to. It was awful. So if you do get a sunburn though, you can use some aloe vera cream or gel. You could use a topical anesthetic spray like Solarcane. Oral NSAIDs may help as well to kind of take down a little bit of that inflammation, but prevention is the key. If you have the sunburn, it's really too late. You can use any of those kind of symptomatic kind of treatments, but there's no kind of magic cure once you have it. So bottom line, when you know you're going out in the sun, ask your parents about sunscreen. Try to limit that time in the direct sun. And that's what I do. So I like to take a lot of ice cream breaks. Like I'll go in the shade, I'll eat my ice cream, eat my granola bar, and then go back out in the sun a little bit.
Wow. Very, very, very insightful on your breakage.
Yeah.
But no, wow. That's been really interesting. And I'd like to thank the kids, for their questions. We've been able to answer 4 questions. So the remaining, 33 questions are left up to the parents to answer, most likely the dads.
Yeah.
Keep track of those questions, Andrew, and we'll try to answer a few of them, more of them on a upcoming episode.
Yeah, and if any of our listeners have ideas for questions.
If we have any listeners.
Yeah. All of our listener.
That's my mom.
Yeah, your mom's our listener. So, Mrs. Klepser, please send in a question if you want. thehealthdeli@ferris.edu. So that's our email address. Send us a question, and we'll maybe be able to address that in our next podcast.
Sounds wonderful. I'd like to thank everybody, the folks here at the winery at Young's Farm, and all of our guests here who answered or asked the questions. I guess we answered the questions, but thank you guys all. And we'll see you next time at the deli.
We want to give a special thank you to Andrew Tingley and the crew at Ferris State University's television and digital media production program. Until next time, so long from the Health Deli, where topics are tasty, the takes are fresh, and the discussion is free. Please come back soon.